This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing. Lutefish and green peas, apple pie and vanilla ice cream, pretzels and beer. Some things are just meant to be together. Such is the case for today's car track combination, the Lotus 49 at Brands Hatch. But while the combination feels familiar, the point standings do not, because names that have monopolized the top of the charts for so long, names like Claridge and Dudignon, have been replaced by a name attached to a driver known more for his sports car prowess than his open-wheel talent. That is Rob Olenek. But the season is young, and the mystical powers of drop races can make a poor start of a season magically vanish. So let the kids play in the street. Tell the wife to call her sister, because for the next hour, you're going to be watching Round 3 of the Grand Prix Legends 2019 Spring Season Championship from Brands Hatch. And if the 4-letter bumper video didn't tip you off, we're going to be watching it all live as it happens from Green Flag to Victory Donuts right here on the Global Sim Racing. Hello and welcome. Filling in for the unreplaceable Joe Peak, it's yours truly, Bill Soup Zahn, joining me up in the press box to bring you our Word's Eye View by Johan Vanderbilt. We are blessed to have Amjad Yaman in our director's chair, armed with cameras locked and loaded by Dougie Beard. Johan, if you couldn't tell from the sound of my voice, I'm excited to be here. But while I take a doctor-prescribed Xanax, you can tell the viewers about today's racetrack.
Absolutely, Bill. Well, there's an incredible history that can be found here at Brands Hatch, as the circuit has gone through countless different facades. It used to be a dirt track for cycling and running events around 100 years ago. It hosted dirt races on motorcycles and was only paved in 1950. Now today we race on the GP layout in the Lotus 49, and that version of the track is even newer and was only realized in 1960. Now the layout is around 3.7 kilometers long and offers a very challenging track for the drivers. Because I personally feel like this is one of those places where you race against the circuit instead of your opponents. Of course there are other cars out there, but Brands Hatch features multiple corners that are very difficult in any car, including Paddock Hill Bend and the whole section between Hawthorne Hill and Stirlings. Now Gerhard Berger dubbed Brands Hatch as the best circuit in the world, and he should know, as throughout history 12 Formula 1 Grand Prix were held here, 2 of which saw the Lotus 49 on track, but this combination was never a happy marriage, with a 6th place in 1970 for Graham Hill as the best result. Today, however, one thing is sure, and that's that we'll see a Lotus 49 win here. But before we see where things stand, let's take the viewers on board as we take you for a lap around the track.
All right, we're in the GSRC LOTUS 49, so let's do a lap around Brands Hatch. Paddock Hill Bend is incredibly difficult to squeeze the most out of in this car. It's bouncing around on entry, it's a curved braking zone, and then the track drops away too. Ease back onto the power smooth and let the compression cause the car to grip. Druid should make for a potential passing zone, but the braking is heavily shortened by the uphill nature. Like any hairpin, square this one off, but in this car, it doesn't always pay off to track out all the way. You have so little time to switch sides for Graham Hill Bend, and this car needs to be settled. Make sure to use up the runoff to the outside, as that's fair game and it helps you carry your speed. Then it's a short blast down to Surtees, where once again the track curves as you get to the binders. A late apex tends to pay off, but even if you straight line it, the car likes to lose traction. And that can really hurt on the run over Pilgrim's Drop, which is the fastest section of the track. But despite the top end, the braking for Hawthorne is pretty short due to the compression and the fact that the corner is just plain fast. Coming out of there, hold to the left and really focus on your markers, because the back half of the track is punishing. Westfield is very blind on entry and the car struggles to find grip on exit. Expect drivers to short shift just to find traction. Dingledale and Sheen are just as treacherous, and the apex isn't visible until you're right on top of it. Once again, not much time to set yourself up for Stirling, where you really need to use the banking to carry your speed. Getting a run off the corner is important, because otherwise you could be susceptible to attack into Clark. The crest makes the car understeer mid-corner, and then you'll be fighting to keep the car stable as you get back on the gas. A little lift is needed on the Brabham Straight, but hopefully you've now finished a lap around Brands Hatch.
Joe Peak may not be physically with us, but we get the privilege of his disembodied voice escorting us around Brands Hatch. Now, Johan and I are going to escort you around the point standings. I'll kick it off by talking about the F1 driver standings before turning it over to Johan for the other two. Now, keep in mind that these points do not take into account the 2 drop races allowed for in the rules. There he is. Yankee Doodle came to town riding in a Lotus. American Rob Olenek. On the heels of his first ever GSRC broadcast win, sits atop the chart. He may race from down under, but he is high on the points ladder. I'm talking about Matt Wright in second. Hey, you bring a race you bring a race into Tsukuba, and you're going to have to deal with lap traffic. Learning that lesson the hard way was Mick the Quick Claridge, but that is why God created drop weeks late on the 6th day. Marco Kika holds station in 4th, and after missing the opening round, Ove Trengere rockets 9 spots to fill out the overlay. Okay, with that out of the way, let's have Johan talk about the F2 drivers.
Yeah, because in the F2 championship, it is not an American, it is a French driver on top, Hugh Haycox. Now, in this championship, the big story after the last race was basically the absence of our leader, Hideki Koifisto. The Finn didn't race, but with that, he traded in his championship lead for a 5th place in the championship. Hugh Haycox, he leads now. He was the driver that profited from that the most. He moved up 7 positions. He's leading Colin Coker with 9 points. But behind him, there's a nice battle heating up, Bill. Francisco Javier Gutierrez, Michael Reinhardt. A lot of drivers in the top 5, not separated by a lot of points. It's very tight. Let's see what happens here in Brands Hatch.
Then we also have what is called a Nations Cup. We can quickly take a peek at that one, where you see the United States, on the heels of Olenik's success, moves up to the top spot. Claridge having issues early on actually drops the United Kingdom down a spot, and look at that, Worth is able to chip in some points there for those guys. Germany flying the proper flag this week, sits in 3rd position, 30 points out of the lead, with Pavlovsky and Reinhardt both contributing for that one. They're tied with Australia thanks to Matt Wright's success, and then the last team down in there is Finland, with Kika being the only contributor there, but the season is young. Hey, here at GSRC, we're always picking up new viewers, so with that in mind, let's talk about the race details here of this long-running series. Johan?
Yeah, it's a good point to step in. It's only round 3, of our 12-round championship in the Lotus 49. 2 watermarks. That always means that there's 2 drop weeks. So basically means that the 2 worst results of each driver will be removed at the end of the season. The race distance today here at Brands Hatch will be 25 laps with open setup, so the drivers can tweak the setup just to their liking, and points pay out to 25th position today.
Last thing we're going to check out before we get to the action on the track is the weather. Boy, it looks pleasant here just visually. Let's go ahead and actually look at the numbers and see how it plays out as we bring those up for you in a minute. Johan, hey, looks good.
It looks very good. You can see it 84 degrees Fahrenheit, 29 degrees Celsius. That is the track temperature at the moment. It's not as warm as it was in practice though, Bill. A little bit before we were in practice, the temperature was around 10 degrees Fahrenheit warmer there, around 5 degrees, 6 degrees Celsius. So I think that the drivers have to adapt to that a little bit, that the track conditions are cooler than they were around half an hour ago while they were still practicing.
A very healthy size field of 25 names on the entry list here. Qualifying is underway. And, you know, we talked about familiar names being up top. How about Mick the Quick Claridge and Ove Trengere sitting at the top of the charts right now in qualifying?
Yeah, very good lap times from both of them so far. We're looking at Matt Wright. He comes across the line for a second time lap. That's a 1:22.9. Good lap from him so far there. Moves up a few positions to P6 overall. But like you said, Mick Claridge and Ove Trengere, they're locking out the front row at the moment. Our championship leader, Rob Olenek, he can only be found on the outside of row 2. He's currently sitting behind Roman Pavlovsky in P4. He needs to gain some positions in the race if he wants to maintain his championship lead. On screen at the moment is one of the newer names, John Chapman. He's currently sitting in 23rd position. He has already done one of his qualifying laps, a 1:35.4. That was not a really good lap from John Chapman. He's around 7 seconds adrift from the driver in front of him. With 3 seconds to go, I think it's qualifying over, Bill.
I think that'll do it for us. So let's go to the starting grid right now. It is on the front row. A couple of veterans, Mick Claridge and Ove Trengere. You had Angel Pavlovsky there in 3rd position, flanked by Rob Olenek, Gary Teal, and Matt Wright fill up row 3. Caden Bin, a driver we're getting familiar with, is in 7th position. He's going to be inside of Marco Kiko. Row 5 has Hugh Haycox and Philippe Urquhart.
Daniel Cedro, familiar name, he starts the race at P11. He is being flanked by another Haycox. In this case, it's Ian. Grand Prix, he starts the race in P13. He's flanked by Joe's Wilcox. On row 8, we can find Hideki Koifisto and Tanner McCullough. And behind him, it's Francisco Javier Gutierrez, flanked by Armin Weber. And on row 10, the last two drivers in the top 20, it's Brett Fendley and Colin Coker.
Get down to the guy in the black check spot is David Sanchez, Gary Anderson after him. John Chapman, you think with the history of this car, he should be good at this one. Nika Ignatov in the 24th position did not put in a qualifying time, but he is out there on the grid right now, and the last car out there in the quarter century mark is David Hudson. Okay, it's round 3. We're at a perfect track to go racing. The weather is good. The drivers are ready. You're ready. Let's get this show underway. No pit stops today. We are going to be pure excitement from green flag to checkered flag. Trengareed's qualifying time, a 1:22.4, about 0.4 of a second off the pole sitter of Mick Claridge. Pavlovsky Roman has been fast all season long. Let's see what we can do now. You can hear the engines begin to harmonize. Gary Teal has been successful. Matt Wright racing down there in 6th from Australia. We're going to get ready to get this underway. Gather at the chicken steak, covering on the cows. The horses are out of the barn, and the Norwegian driver, Tengrade, gets a great run on the outside. Pressure in Claridge. Cannot get it done. He's going to try to tuck it in. He does in front of Pavlovsky. Olenek and Teal round out your top 5 as they go into Druids.
Oh, but Gary Teal, look at him. He's putting pressure on Rob Olenek. He's to the inside. That is through Druid, still side by side, but now he's on the outside. Takes more momentum. Around Graham Hill Bend. Behind him, Caden Bean is looking feisty as well. He sees P4 being challenged. He wants to get there. Still side by side, Rob Olenek. Now on the inside of Surtees. Gets by Gary Teal. He stays P4.
Boy, Teal really worked hard, was trying to get to that podium position. Olenek was having none of it. All that fighting has let the two leaders drive away up front. Claridge and Trengareed. Pavlovsky right behind him in 3rd position. That battle between Olenek and Teal was for 4th.
Battle behind him is still going on. Caden Bean is now very close to Gary Teal. Caden Bean started the race at P7. He's looking to gain 2 positions. It will happen. He makes a little mistake. Woo! Breaking on the grass. What a save from Caden Bean there through sheer curve. Saves it. Only loses a little bit of time. Doesn't even lose a position.
That car was in the wall, but somehow he turned it back, cranked it to the left, kept it going straight. He races in 6th position. We're going to go on board with this. Watch his hands. Gets up onto the back, turns full lock, and then unlocks. My gosh.
And it's so easy to make a mistake like that. You're so close to the driver in front, and especially for those quick corners on the back end of the circuit, you just don't see the braking points, the steering points, as well as when you're driving alone, and a mistake like that, very easy to make. Caden can continue, however. If we go back to where everything stands, is Rob Olenek making a small mistake for Surtees. That gives Gary Teal the opportunity to close up. Only 2 car lengths between the two. I don't think that Gary Teal has enough speed to make a move as they reach Harvan Hill, Bill. It looks like Rob Olenek is a little bit under pressure, and he cannot close the gap to the podium drivers.
Teal has been frisky since the green flag and continues to work on the back of Olenek right now. We've talked a lot about your front 5. Let's talk about the back half of your top 10. You saw Caden Bin save the car. Matt Wright is in 7th, followed by Hugh Haycox, the Finn, Marco Kika in 9th, rounding out your top 10, Daniel Sadro. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's where Hugh Haycox losing position. Right as you said, he was P8, he is now P9. Went a little bit wide on the exit of Sheen Curve. Loses that position to Marco Kika, is now in the top 8.
Everybody's still out there racing right now. All 25 cars still on track. Let's hope we get all 25 to the green flag.
Little battle. Let's go to P15 at the moment. Tanner McCullough is trying to take away the position in Paddock Hill Bend. What a great move from him. Great run over the start-finish straight. He gets by Joe's Wilcox. Wilcox is relegated 1 position. He's now in 16th position. Tanner McCullough started the race in 16th. So he's 1 position up, trying to close down the gap now to Grand Prix in front.
We We look at that battle for 15th. I'm going to take you up front for a minute and go right up to our leaders because, well, I thought Claridge was safe. I took a peek down there, and Ulrich Trengrade is able to stay right with him, now only about 4 or 5 car lengths back, and in good pace. And they're not even that. They are not leaving Pavlovsky as well, as Roman is hanging right in there in 3rd spot.
There's nothing between the top 2 at the moment. Last time around, only 0.003 of a second over Trengrade was quicker than Claridge in front of him. There's nothing that you can find between these 2 drivers. Even if you get right behind him, Bill, where do you make an overtake here? It's so difficult to get that pass.
Let's look at 4th. Here comes Thiel again. Olenek made a mistake. And look at the white car of Thiel right on the back, but again, he cannot get it done. Johan, we talked about it before we went live. Passing here is going to be at a premium. Man, you can follow a car, but it's hard to get around him.
You have to wait for those mistakes that Rob Olenek just made. Gary Thiel almost profited from. You have to wait for those. Maybe even try to force the driver in front into a mistake like that, because that's probably one of the only chances you'll get to win a position here.
The leaders work their way through the hairpin. That is Druids now. Again, Olenek out in front, leading Thiel, who's been on him. Caden Bin, after he had the car 90 degrees to the way the car was supposed to be going, got it going straight. He races back there in 6th position. Wright and Kika holding on.
This battle, or this train of cars, is really forming behind Rob Olenek now. It was 3 cars, but Matt Wright and Marco Kika are following suit at the moment. A quick update on Hugh Haycox. He was P9 after a small mistake a few laps ago. He has lost another position. Daniel Cedro got by him. Daniel Cedro is now up to P9.
Yeah, we got a little Cain and Abel going on back there for 10th position as it's Haycox versus Haycox. You and Ian. You can see the car out in front, that white one. That is Daniel Sadro, the American driver.
Yeah, and I imagine Daniel Sadro to drive a little bit away from Hugh Haycox where he is now. Now let's go to P7 at the moment. Matt Wright has a horrible exit through Clark Curve, being put under pressure by Marco Kika a little bit. Oh, Marco Kika getting very loose in the middle of the start-finish straight, making very late, going through the gravel. Saves it though, wow! I thought he was a gunner there, but he just saved it, brought it back to the tarmac. He doesn't even lose a position there.
That one was going wrong well before he got to the corner. Let's ride on board here. I'm not sure if he thought about diving it down and then thought better of it, then missed his braking zone, then did all he could to stay off the back of the gearbox. Great job of keeping the car going straight.
Amazing job. Well, he's still less than a second behind Matt Wright, so that battle isn't over. Let's see how that continues. Now let's go back up front over Trengrade. We were mentioning the battle between him and Mick Claridge. Last time around, over Trengrade was around 1.5 tenths quicker than Mick in front. This battle is just not stopping at the moment, but as we said before, Mick has to make a mistake before over Trengrade will get a chance to get by him. Mick making a mistake, that's not something we see that often.
They come at you. Now the 3rd car in line, that is Pavlovsky back there. He's about a second behind Trengrade. We'll keep an eye on that, see if he can close up on the 2 leaders. They are gapping Olenek.
I think that what might happen as well very soon is some lap traffic, because the last driver at the moment, which is David Hudson in 25th position, he's 55 seconds behind the leader. If that pace continues, I think that in a few laps, Mick Claridge, over Trengrade, Roman Pavlovsky all will have to get through some traffic as well. And that might be the moment that over Trengrade needs to try a move for P1.
Hudson, one of the drivers, not able to put in a qualifying time, so I really can't tell you what kind of pace he has under him, but he's struggling right now. You know, a fun battle, Director, can we, let's go to P4. Oh, look at this. He finally got him. Olenek back to 5th. Gary Thiel makes that pass. He's been trying on him for each of the 6 laps we've been racing. Finally got it done.
Yeah, but I don't want to put too many flowers on Gary Thiel's name, because that was mostly Rob Olenek's mistake. Just look at the leopard skin car there on the exit. It's going very sideways. That was the moment that Gary Thiel needed to get by. So Gary Thiel now up to P4. Let's see actually if he can drive away from Rob Olenek now. Rob Olenek is immediately being put under pressure by Caden Bean. It also seems like Gary Thiel's just not very quick through the whole infield section because there's a little train very closely following at the moment. Matt Wright, however, and Marco Kieger behind him are following by the wayside. These three drivers, that's P4, 5 and 6, are within a second of each other.
Yeah, one of the best battles on the track right now. Look at Ben close up as they work their way through Paddock Hill Bend. Let's stay on this one. We've been jumping you around a little bit. Let's watch these guys. And now they work through Druid. Go ahead, Johan.
I just wanted to say a quick update on Colin Coker. He's a first retirement of today. He had a little off moment. We don't have to go to a replay of that. In Paddock Hill Bend last time around. He's the first retirement. And of course, he was the second driver in the Formula 2 championship. So that's not good for his championship aspiration. Caden Bin, very loose.
Yeah. Ben was in good position, but he got a really bad exit out of Surtees, and now he's going to have nothing for him as they work down into Hawthorne Bend.
One thing that I'm noticing at the moment, Bill, is that there's a cloud cover coming over the track. The track temperature has already decreased 3 degrees Celsius, probably 4 or 5 degrees Fahrenheit, and if it just continues like that, as a slight sun is popping through the covers again, that might actually change the track condition in such a state that the tires will suddenly give a lot more grip than the drivers were used to.
You talked about the F2 Championship. Want to quickly check in on 14th position and watch this one. This is Tanner McCullough up here in a race with Hideki Koivisto. They've been nose to hills for a while.
Yeah, Tanner was behind Hideki Koivisto. He now got by. Finally, this was a move. Yeah, this was a move in the making for basically 4 or 5 laps already. Tanner McCullough was stuck behind Hideki Koivisto, but here coming over the start-finish line. Just a good run here through Paddock Hill Bend.
Takes it out as wide as he can, keeps the car on the tarmac, and then you'll see Koivisto show up as they head down into Druids, and there's the pass. Boy, that went on for a while. There's the pass finally made.
Great
Good
racing
from those guys, yeah.
And let's go back to the battle for P4. Rob Olenek still on the in the neck of Gary Thiel. Gary Thiel got by. I thought Gary Thiel might be able to drive away a little bit, but it wasn't so much a cork on the bottle concept between Rob Olenek leading that train. I think that these drivers are just very, very close to each other pace-wise. Because as you can see, Gary Thiel is being haunted by Rob and Caden behind him.
I think that's it too. I think the best hope these guys have having a chance to get around each other is if the car in front makes a mistake. That's been how it's working so far. All right, lap traffic coming into effect. John Chapman just got overtaken by Claridge and Trengarade. Let's go to the leaders right now. Trengarade just a car length back as they work through Druids.
Yeah, over Trengarade took a lot of risk through Paddock Hill Bend, that time around sideways a little bit, but it actually worked for him because he closed up immediately to the rear of Mick Claridge there. John Chapman was lap traffic, he couldn't profit from that, but there's another piece of lap traffic just in front of him in the form of David Hudson as they go through Surtees. You need a good exit here to try and move through Horton Hill. Around 2-3 car lengths between the two of them over Trengarade. Doesn't have a good enough exit. He has to just follow through this succession of quick right-hand corners now.
Johan, we've been watching these drivers race for a long time. Hudson just pretty much gets out of the way. Good job from him. If there are 2 drivers that get the car more sideways, I don't know if there are, than Mick Claridge and Ove Trengarade. They both really work those cars.
Absolutely. It's sometimes funny to watch Ove Trengarade in practice because after qualifying, he usually puts a 3rd or 4th lap where he just tries to go sideways through a lot of corners.
I've seen that.
Just practice it a little bit. Yeah, he just tries to learn how the car feels going sideways on the track. You can see him do that a lot in corners, and it actually helps him a little bit. That time around, actually through Clark Curve, he actually lost a few car lengths. He took too much of the corner, and that cost him 1 or 2 seconds. But here through Paddock Hill Bend, once again, he's just sliding through it. And especially in that corner, it really helps Ove Trengarade to close down the deficit to the car in front.
Oh, and he's loose really through Druids, and that Pavlovsky is coming now. That interval was about 1.2 seconds. It's down to 0.8 of a second now between him and Trengarade. Let's look at 4th position. Oh my goodness, this is Thiel finally getting around Olenek.
Yeah, this time it was Gary Thiel. Yeah, it was Thiel being passed, and it was a mistake from him through Paddock Hill Bend here. He completely missed the apex. And just like a few laps ago, there was all the opportunity that Rob Olenek this time needed. Almost contact between the two as they went through. There was slight contact actually, as Gary Thiel just lost the car a little bit in the middle of the corner. We go to a helicopter view of that here. Just look how Gary Thiel on the left is doing. Just in the middle of the corner there. Just slightly loses it. Bumps bumps Rob Olenek into his left rear tire. And I don't think that any of these two cars have damage. Both of them are continuing. As Gary Thiel actually makes a mistake once again, goes off the track, and then gives the position to Kaden Bean side by side as they go through Sterling's now. Yes, on the outside it's Kaden Bean. Quick enough to finish that overtake. He gets that position. So it's Kaden Bean now to the top 5. Gary Thiel was in 2 positions in 1 lap.
Just to review what's happened between those guys, Olenek started in front. Thiel had been pestering the whole time. Olenek made a mistake. Thiel got the position. Thiel gave it back on a mistake. Olenek takes it. And then another mistake from Thiel. He loses a spot to Bin. Which makes what Matt Wright and Marco Kika are doing back there in 7th and 8th. Come on, boys, get in the mix. You guys have been back there racing in order the whole time. 5-car battle for 4th spot.
And at the moment it's really Rob Olenek walking away from it, because the gap between him and Gary Thiel is almost a second at the moment. It's more than a second even. It's between Rob Olenek and Kaden Bean. Let's see if Gary Thiel can keep the pressure on Kaden in front to get back the top 5 position. Now, let's go back to the lead, because the gap between Mick Claridge and Over Trangerate, it seems visually, Bill, like it's slightly increasing compared to a few laps ago. I would say 1 or 2 car lengths more between these two drivers. At the meantime, Roman Pawlowski, he's not falling away. He's still just eating popcorn and waiting to see what happens between the two drivers in front.
With 15 laps to go, all Trangerate needs to do is remain in striking distance. Doesn't want Claridge to get too far away.
If we go to P10, Daniel Cedro is being overtaken by Ian Haycox. That was a great move from Ian Haycox, what just happened in Sheen Curve. It actually was because Daniel Cedro in front of that through Dingledale made a small mistake going through the grass. Didn't have the traction he needed. Ian Haycox immediately pounding on that, getting that top 10 position away from him. So now the Haycoxes are not, are finally
they're back together
again. Yeah, they're back together again, P9 and P10. Daniel Cedro following suit.
Cedro had split them up for a little bit. Now he's under attack from Phil Urquhart back there. In fact, let's stay on this battle for 11th right now. This is still Cedro working on the back of Ian Haycox. Interesting enough, the Haycox boys, one races out of the UK, the other one races out of France.
It's interesting to see how Ian Haycox seems to struggle a little bit. Now there's no car directly in front of him. A few of these corners he was missing the apex. We go to Grandpa Tulo, who just had a little spin that was going through 30s. There's too much speed there as we go to a replay of that incident. Did he actually have contact with Tanner McCullough? No, Tanner McCullough, great avoidance from him to take the outside there. On board here with Grandpa Tulo, too much speed, tries to save it, cannot save it. And then through the left, maybe we could see Tanner McCullough. He gets by, so Grant loses 1 position.
And after McCullough got by Coivisto, he had plenty of time to slow down, avoid making contact there, and have Coivisto behind him.
Let's go back live. Matt Wright and Marco Kika. That's a battle that's heating up. That's a battle for P7 at the moment. Matt Wright is being put under pressure by the Finn through Paddock Hill Bend. It doesn't seem like Marco Kika had that good of a run. It was really on the start-finish straight that he was close. Not close enough to make a move. Now the gap between Gary Thiel and Matt Wright seems to grow a little bit, Bill, as is the gap between Rob Olenek and Kaden Bean. So this 5-car train is being stretched out a little bit.
Yeah, I think Olenek was always the faster of the drivers that were involved in that. He just made that mistake, and that's what got him back in the hornet's nest that was Bin and Thiel. As far as the Wright and Kika goes, Kika has been following Wright the entire race, has had just about enough of that right now, I think. You see them, the last cars in line. Here they come at you. "13 laps in, 13 laps to go."
Over Trangerade, we see him on screen at the moment. He's still following suit on Mick Claridge, but Mick will have a slight difficulty because there's 2 lap cars just in front of him, starting with Gary Anderson. Gary is blinking a little bit. He's now back on track. Both cars get by quite easily. David Sanchez is now just in front of them. David is driving around in P20 at the moment. Started the race P21, really one position so far.
Let's go ahead and stay on this battle. This will be fun to see how Sanchez gets out of the way. Once again, this is Trangerade back as close as he's been for a while. Claridge makes quick works of Sanchez, as does Trangerade. Look at the gap, though, now that Pavlovsky, who was just right behind him now, he was a second back. He's now 3 seconds back.
Yeah, and it was all because of Gary Anderson. And Roman couldn't find his way past quickly and just lost 2 seconds because of that in traffic. So the gap between him and Over Trangerade has increased dramatically. And that will be a weight off the shoulders of the Norwegian, who can now just solely focus on Mick Claridge in front instead of having to keep half an eye looking in his rearview mirror at the same time.
19 cars on the lead lap, but I'll tell you, it's refreshing to see lap traffic involved in this. Of course, Claridge had trouble with lap traffic last time out. There was a lot more of it at Tsukuba than there will be today.
The next piece of lap traffic is Colin Coker. I thought it was a retirement, but he actually was just in the pits for several laps trying to fix his car. So Colin Coker is back out on track, though he is 7 laps down at the moment. He's just in front of this fighting duo for the lead. Mick Claridge and Over Trangerade as they go through Graham Hill towards Graham Hill Bend. Still just a few car lengths between the two of them, 3/4 tenths of a second.
Looking at the 2 racing lines between Claridge and Trangerade, Claridge seems to be really smooth. Trangerade really seems to be working, trying to find any way to get around Claridge right now. He gets close, then he falls back, and he gets close again. This lap traffic could be an issue. Let's see what Colin Coker does. They're going to get to him at a difficult section here. Oh! And there it is. This is the opportunity for Trangerade if he wants to. Let's see if he forces the issue. Nope, he'll wait.
Yeah, Mick Claridge just defending the inside there. He knew that this was the opportunity for Over Trangerade. Stayed on the inside. Didn't give over a single opportunity to put the car on the inside there. Saves his P1 position as they go through the final corner now onto the Brabham Straight. Yeah, it seems like it evens out a little bit. It was a half an opportunity for Over Trangerade, but just good defending, good thinking from Mick Claridge to immediately cover that inside to keep Over behind him.
I know there's a bit of an accordion effect there. The cars always look like the trailing car always looks to be better under braking than it is, but I really think that Trangerade is really good getting the car in. Claridge really good at getting it off the corner, and oh, Trangerade really working it. Gonna lose some ground there as he was sliding.
Battle still heating up for P5. We saw Rob Olenek driving away from Caden Bean and Gary Thiel, but those 2 drivers with just the 2 of them are putting on an amazing show for the fans. Gary Thiel is incredibly fast, it seems like, at the moment, Bill. He's putting his car left and right, trying to overtake Caden Bean. He just cannot find a way past at the moment. The battle behind him, Marco Kika, Matt Wright, has also meant that Marco Kika find his way past. So Marco is currently driving the P7, Matt Wright back to P8. This battle between Gary Thiel and Caden Bean is just heating up once again there as they go through Harton Hill. Gary Thiel just wins 1-2 car lengths in the apex of the corner, taking more speed through it. He's trying everything to get that P5, the top 5 position back.
Thiel has really had to work hard this race. He fought so hard behind Olenek. And look at this back here for Haycox.
Oh, Haycox is in the one. Also, Tanner McCullough just had an off. So that's 2 drivers. And we go to Hugh Haycox first to see what happened with him, though.
He was all by himself. He blew an engine.
Yeah, let's go to Tanner McCullough because he actually had contact with Grand Patullo and flipped. That was on the rundown towards Pilgrim's Drop. It seemed like through Surtees, yeah, Tanner McCullough had a slight wobble. That caused Grand Patullo, as we go on board with the Australian at the moment, to just bump into him, send him flying. You can see that little wobble. The contact was unavoidable for Grant. He punched him off I think that's race-out. I'm pretty sure that's race-out for Tanner McCullough. He's crabbing over the circuit. A horrible end for Tanner McCullough. He started racing P16, fought his way all up the field, but sees his way end in the barrier right now.
Yeah, he had just made that pass, I believe, and then he got that issue.
Gary Thiel at the moment also lost a few positions. What happened there between him? Yeah, Gary Thiel and Caleb Bean had contact. That was in Graham Hill Bend last time around. Don't know if you can go to a replay of that incident. Yeah, we found that replay there. Gary Thiel and Caleb Bean were side by side. You can see here on the right it's Gary Thiel. And as they go to the next corner, he just cuts in a little bit too much, it almost seems like.
Lucky not to go over.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, to not actually get more damage than he did there. Luckily for Gary, he can continue as we go to another replay of that incident. On top here, you can really clearly see that Gary Thiel, it almost seems like he just cuts in too much there. Kanan Bin was still there, just looped himself around. Now, luckily for Gary Thiel, still driving around the P8, didn't lose too much.
Bin was holding the tight inside line. He had to put the car somewhere. So the adventures of Gary Thiel continue back in 8th position. Not sure he's going to have anything to get up to the drivers in front of him.
A lot of excitement suddenly happening all at once, but as we see over Trangrate and Mick Claridge, they're still our constant in this race. They're still just a few tenths away from each other. The gap has increased to 0.6 of a second. That's because of a little bit of lap traffic in front of them as they go by David Hudson for one more time. It allows over Trangrate to win 0.2 of a second, just close it up once again to Mick Claridge.
So much action going on. I'm not sure if we documented that Kika was able to get around Matt Wright for 6th position. If we did, I apologize.
Yeah, it's a great race for Marco Kika, winning 2 positions so far. Same has to be said for Caden Bin. Both of them are, well, the quick movers in the top 10.
Yeah. The question is Bin's car still at 100% after the contact with Thiel? We'll find out soon enough. The interval between Bin and Kika, 2 seconds. We'll monitor that gap, see if it closes.
Ooh, as Marco Kika goes very loose through Paddock Hill Bend that time around, will it give an opportunity to Matt Wright? No, Matt Wright cannot put it side by side, but that allows Matt Wright to win a few car lengths immediately. Almost enough for the Australian to get by the finish drive. Marco Kika, I think that right now, Bill, he's more looking behind him to see what Matt Wright is doing than he's trying to mount an offensive on Caden. Again, very loose there for Surtees. And look at the run that Matt Wright is now getting through back straight. On the outside as they go through Hot and Sail, going to go side by side through this corner, braking slightly later, Matt Wright. Trying to swerve it around the outside, but on the inside it is Marco Kika with the track advantage. Still side by side. Now Matt Wright is giving in. He slots back into the racing line.
Let's go up front. I think I got a feeling that maybe Trangrate's going to make a move here pretty quick. He has been really tough on the back of Claridge. He is now only a half car length back. I just got a feeling that he's going to put it in there one of these corners. Maybe Druids, no. He has been really strong out of quarter number 4 Surtees. He'll have a shot at it through Hawthorne Bend. Let's stay on this one. Now he gives up a little more interval. This is where he's been really strong out of this corner. He's been getting a good run. Might be too far back. He's not going to be able to get there before they get to Hawthorne Bend.
It's very interesting to see the different driving lines last time around between these two drivers. Over Trangrate earlier on the throttle, but it also means that he just understeers a little bit more. So he takes more speed on the straight, but also has to make more meters. And in the end, it kind of cancels out between the two drivers. Through this set of right-handers, it's over Trangrate just winning quite a bit of time on Mick Claridge as the lead curve here. Only 2 car lengths between the two of them. Sterling's. This is one of the most notorious braking points of this track. Gap between the two stays the same. Going towards Clark Curve. You need a good exit through here if you want to try it on the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. Over Trangrate keeps it all 4 wheels on the tarmac. McLaren did 2 of them in the grass. It doesn't hurt the Brit though, it seems like, Bill. He stays in front quite comfortably as they approach the first corner.
They go through. Now they head down into the hairpin that is Druid. These tires are indestructible, but they will heat up on you. And I almost feel like Tringery gets up there, really works it hard, then has to back off a bit, let the tires cool down before he takes another assault at Claridge. You cannot get around him.
This must be frustrating for Overtrangerate as well, because you've been behind McLaren for 20 laps now. You've seen that on some parts of the track you're just quicker than him, but you cannot find your way past. And that actually might mean that Overtrangerate will just try more, try harder, go even faster in the corners and maybe start to overdrive it a little bit, but that's very dangerous as well, because Roman Pawlowski is only 4 seconds away. So you might actually lose P2 if you just start overdriving.
And it looks like Tringery's faster, but it might be a case of just Claridge going fast enough as he needs to. Just being much smoother from the leader than from Ove, who's trying every...
Yeah, this time around it seems like the leader is winning a little bit on the Norwegian. So once again they're coming across some lap traffic just in front of them. Brett Fendley, Armin Weber, Francisco Javier Gutierrez. 3 drivers we haven't talked about. That's the battle for P50. That's happening just in front of our leaders. Overtrangerate sliding through Paddock Hill Bend. Loses a few car lengths, but because of that, a few tenths of a second immediately. McLaren will happily accept that.
4 laps to go. Tringery's got to be saying, gee, I'm only going to get so many more chances at my favorite corners here. Let's go back quickly and look at Kika back in 6th position. This is they're closing up as they go around these lap cars here.
Yeah, let's see if they actually Overtrangerate can use that, because there's one car, that's 2 cars, David Sanchez going very slow. He just had a little spin and a crash, so I think that he's nursing his car to the pits at the moment. They found their way past 2 of the lap traffic cars in front of them. There's 2 more to go just in front of their nose. The next one is Armin Weber. In front of them, like I said, Francisco Javier Gutierrez, P15 and P16. That's at the moment. Overtrangerate is getting closer and closer on the exit of the penultimate final corner, I mean. McLaren has to give in a little bit to avoid Armin Weber. The gap between him and Overtrangerate is closing. This will not be an optimal line as Armin Weber has to go on the grass to avoid them. Both cars, leader and second.
He's got a shot at him!
Yeah, both are sliding through the first corner. Overtrangerate had a moment, but just backs out of it there.
Boy, how about the patience from Tringery? I don't know how many opportunities you're going to get. That was one. Claridge made the mistake, and Tringery said, not yet. Wow.
I thought that McLaren for sure would lose the position. He was with all wheels going through the gravel there on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. Still kept it in P1, however. Overtrangerate didn't get the moment he needed to get by. Still, nose to tail, these 2 drivers, 0.3 of a second. There's only 3 more laps to go. In front of them it is Francisco Javier Gutierrez going a little bit slow, and again they're catching traffic at a point of this track where you don't want it, as they go through the very quick Westfield Bend. Going a little bit more on the outside is Francisco, letting both of them by, but the gap between them is only 1 car length now, less than a car length. Overtrangerate very quick. He has to try and move now, because there's not a lot more opportunities that you will get as they go through Sterling's. Just sliding too much there, and that destroys the opportunity that he had, because you can see visually the gap immediately grow to 4 or 5 car lengths.
We're going to take a look at Ian Haycox, who had an issue. This is just down the main straight. Looks like a...
Yeah, you can see a little bit earlier on the main straight. He just dips 2 wheels on the grass a little bit earlier, and that unsettles his car. As we go, let's see, from the helicopter view. Just look at his left side tires. Just dips it on the grass, loses control, and just cannot save it anymore. This was already before the braking point, though, so I don't think he was braking there yet. Just touching the grass, losing control. That means it's the end of the race for Ian today.
Okay, there is great racing throughout the field, but apologies to all those drivers. With only 1.5 laps left of racing to go, we're going to focus the majority of our attention up front. Mick Claridge trying to go wire to wire. Tringery now coming back behind him. They have a lap car of Jose Wilcox to get around.
Yeah, Jose will be the last driver just in front of these 2, because the next one, Hideki Kofisto, is around 10-15 seconds in front. They will not reach Hideki Kofisto before the race is over. So this is the last opportunity that Overtrain can use some lag traffic to get that P1 positioning.
Wilcox does a good job of lifting, letting him out of the way. It's going to hurt a little bit corner entrance from Trengrade as he had to take a tight one. He's going to lose a lot of ground out of the final corner coming to the main straight.
And what do you do now with only one more lap to go? Are you going to do a do or die attack for that win? Or are you going to settle for P2? Let's see what Overtrain does as they go through Paddock Hill Bend. He doesn't win a lot of time there. Gap stays roughly the same as they reach Druids. Now we go towards turn 4, that is Grain Hill Bend. That's where Overtrain has been strong earlier in the race. This time around just stays the same. He doesn't have the pace advantage that he needs to really close it up, Bill. Although braking here for Surtees, he wins around 1 car length.
Pretty good shape here. A little bit of a drive off from Claridge now, about 3 car lengths back. Trengrade closing it down to 2. Down to 1, but he loses any passing opportunities. They work through the technical section down to Westfield Bend. He's running out of time, Johan.
Yeah, and I don't think that Overtrain will have a lot more opportunities. There's 2 opportunities that is left. Is this left-hander, Sterling. He tries to go around the outside. McLaren is defending. He has 1 more opportunity, Bill. That's going towards the last curve. Clark curve. Left traffic in front of him, John Chapman.
They go around, and again, Trengrade not able to get to the apex because of the lap car of Chapman. That's going to give round number 3 to Mick the Quick Claridge. Trengrade will have to settle for 2nd. Let's pick up some more paddles back. We'll go to 5th position.
Yeah, this is Roman Pawlowski finishing P3. Rob Olenek P4. Caden Bin seems to have distanced himself a little bit from Marco Kika, who's under heavy pressure by Gary Thiel. Gary Thiel, who found his way past Matt Wright in the last lap of the race. Caden Bin has the advantage to finish just in P5.
Got a shot at him here. Nope.
Yeah, just too much speed on the apex. Doesn't have too much enough speed on the exit.
We'll go back. We'll look at 9th position. This is Daniel Sadro comfortably ahead, I believe, of Philippe Urquhart. Urquhart's going to get the final spot in the top 10. 2 cars still on the lead lap. How about a little love to Grant Patullo? We did not see much of him as he races in 11th.
Yeah, he recovers from that contact that he had with Tanner McCullough early in the race. Luckily for Grant, he didn't have any damage after that, it seems like. He can continue finish this race in P11, winning 2 positions in the progress. And then let's go to Hideki Corfisto. He was our leader in the Formula 2 championship after round 1. He lost it after not being here last time around, but with P12, once again, it's a decent result for the Finn. 3 positions gained today. He comes home in P12.
I'll tell you right now, Hideki Corfisto is the best F2 AM champion. We see him in several events, several series where he is dominant in that class. The racing is over here at Brands Hatch, but our broadcast is not. We'll take a short break, then we'll come back to run down the finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Don't go far. You're watching the Global Sim Racing channel on the iRacing Esports Network. welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the Lotus Grand Prix Legends here on the iRacing Esports Network. Let me take a second to talk about IESN. You know, many of the top drivers in the World Championship, but not only them, some of the regular leagues like you're watching right now are spotlighted right here on IESN. If you haven't done so yet, please become a member to their YouTube channel. All right, let's go ahead and run down the finishing order for you. He started on the pole. He finished on the pole. Yes, it was wire to wire, but it was a hard-fought wire to wire for Mick the Quick Claridge. Ove Trengere, try as he might, could not get around him. Again, you got to tip your hat when Claridge made a mistake. Trengere had the opportunity, decided it's not the right time to do it. He settles for second, but he'll be a good points day for the Norwegian. All right, Roman Pavlovsky comes home on the final podium spot. Rob Olenek and Caden Bin round out your top five. Back after your top 10, Marco Kika, Gary Teal, Matt Wright, Daniel Sadro, and Philippe Urquhart. Johan?
Yeah, then there's 8 drivers that are probably very happy with the result today because they all gained positions, starting with Grand Prix gaining 2 positions, coming home P11. David Confiso is the last driver in the on the lead lap, coming home in P12. Jose Wilcox, we saw him getting laps just in the final lap, or penultimate lap. He comes home P13, just in front of Francisco Javier Gutierrez. The Spaniard was in a nice battle all race long with Armin Weber and Brad Van Vliet, finishes in that order. David Sanchez had some problems in the latter parts of the race, had some damage, still brings us home in P17. David Hudson started last on the race, but gained 7 positions to come home in P18 in the end. Ian Haycox and Tanner McCullough were 2 of the drivers that had some problems, had a big off in the final parts of the race. They got classified P19 and P20.
It was Blackjack for Nikita Ignakoff. The double duck spot goes to Gary Anderson. Colin Coker is in 23rd. 24th and 25th, Hugh Haycox and John Chapman. All right, I have the pleasure to be able to talk to our race winner. We'll bring him in right now, Mick the Quick Claridge. Mick, wire to wire, but my gosh, you had to work for that one.
Oh, hi, Bill. Yeah, long time no hear, man. Yeah, good to see you back. Yeah, that was tough, wasn't it? I didn't know what was going on there. The back markers were great as well, but yeah, that was one hell of a tough fight. That was.
I thought maybe the best opportunity for Ove was when you made a slight mistake. You had it out in the beach coming out of corner number 1, and you were able to keep it going straight.
Yeah, the trouble was I had high tyre pressures on the right-hand side, and it was really helping me through those 2 lefts, onto the back straight. And I knew that when I'd stuffed up there, that he was going to be on me for the rest of the lap because he was quicker than me through the rest of the lap through all the right-handers, So I knew there was going to be a bit of a battle there. But yeah, it's pretty hard to pass there if someone holds the inside onto the back straight there, and then it's, as you probably know, it's a real scary corner down the end of the back straight. So I was pretty confident I would stay in front, but yeah, no, it was good fun, man. But it was tough, You
had to go defensive a few times.
Yeah, even from the start, I knew my start was going to be a bit silly as well because I didn't know what to do with my second gear because my second gear was really good out the second gear corners, but it was shocking at the start, So I knew whoever was next to me, it was either going to be Uwe or Roman or even Rob. I don't know, but I thought someone would be alongside me by turn 1 from the start, and but from then on, it was pretty good out the slow corners, But yeah, it was tough, man. It was really tough.
All right, well, congratulations on another win. We got 9 more after this one, so let's see if we can get ourselves another championship.
Cheers, mate. See you again.
Mick the Quick Claridge, your winner today. Johan?
Doesn't seem like any. Yeah, it doesn't seem like. It doesn't seem like any of the other drivers have come out for an interview today. But just some closing remarks, Bill, because we had a great race. We were talking in the little break that we had between the end of the race and the interviews that even though there wasn't an overtake from Ove and Mick, the battle between those 2 drivers was so exciting to watch, so respectful. You could see that Ove Trengere was quicker at some parts of the race, was trying his best to get by, had some opportunities, did his best, but just also the respect to not do a do or die move ruined both of their races. It was just amazing to watch how they approached this race. And I just cannot wait for the next one and see if Ove Trengere can get a rematch, then beat Mick Claridge.
A lot of miles raced between those two against each other. All right, the racing is over here, so let's wrap this up. We'd like to thank everybody at the Lotus 49 community for making these broadcasts possible and for choosing GSRC as their broadcaster. We know you have a lot of choices when you fly. Thanks for flying GSRC. On screen now are just some of the equipment and software used to stream cyberspace into your place. Additional thanks to June Alon, who provides the iconic music. See the screen to how to get a hold of more of her great work. The Grand Prix legends return in 1 week for round 4 from VIR. Rest easy, as Joe Peak will be back alongside Johan Vanderbilt to call the action on GSRC via the iRacing Esports Network. Next for IESN, well, that's going to be our coverage later today of the Camel Series. Round 3 from COTA. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. Eastern. Sliding across your screen now are just some of the upcoming GSRC broadcasts, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. If you haven't done so yet, become a GSRC's YouTube subscriber by heading over to our YouTube page and hitting that big red button. If you want to know more about us, check us out at Global Sim Racing Channel, Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Come on, Soup. You only got 2 more paragraphs. Let's keep it clean. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, that would be Johan, Amjed, and Dougie. I'd like to thank all of you for watching as we saw Mick the Quick Claridge get another win here at Brands Hatch. With that said, we're off to have fun, storm the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.